I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing a story like this, but here I am. My name's Dan, and I've been married to Lisa for about 5 years now. We met in college, and I honestly thought we had a pretty normal, stable relationship, at least until that one trip. We planned a little getaway for our anniversary, just the two of us, a weekend at a cabin by the lake. It was supposed to be perfect, just some time away from the world, celebrating our time together. I'd been looking forward to it for months. From the start, things felt a little off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Lisa had been unusually tense and irritable lately, snapping at me for no reason. She'd cancel plans last minute or be distracted during conversations. I figured maybe stress at work or just the usual blahs. Honestly, I just wanted to focus on us, to enjoy the weekend, forget about everything else. We packed up the car, headed out, and everything seemed fine at first. But then, strange little things started happening. Her phone kept buzzing, and she'd quickly hide it when I looked her way. She'd be extra careful about her messages, sometimes slipping her phone into her bag if I got too close. I didn't think much of it at first, just brushing it off as her being secretive or maybe just wanting privacy, which I was fine with. But I'd catch her glancing at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, and she'd quickly put it down or act like she was just checking the weather or texting a friend. That night I found myself lying in bed trying to sleep when I saw her phone light up on the nightstand. I wasn't even trying to snoop, it just caught my eye. I noticed a message notification from someone named Tom. It was just a snippet of a message, something about meeting up later, can't wait to see you, and a winky emoji. My stomach dropped. I froze. My first instinct was to tell myself it was innocent, maybe just a friend or something. But then I saw the timeline. The message was from that afternoon, during the drive to the cabin. And Lisa had been acting weird all day, more distracted than usual. I couldn't help myself. I unlocked her phone. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The messages kept coming up. They were flirtatious, intimate, things that no wife should be saying to another man while she's supposedly married and about to celebrate her anniversary. They talked about meeting up for sex, about how much they missed each other, how Lisa loved the way Tom made her feel, how she was tired of pretending everything was fine at home. The messages weren't just friendly banter, they were full-on cheating, explicit and without remorse. I sat there, stunned. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just seen. I kept going over the last 5 years, wondering if I'd ever truly known her. Was she always like this? Did I miss all the signs? The woman I married, who I thought was loyal, was now just a stranger hiding her secret life. I felt a mix of anger, heartbreak, and confusion. I wanted to confront her right then, but I also knew I had to get my head straight first. I spent the night staring at her phone, trying to decide what to do next. I knew I had to handle this carefully, but part of me just ached for some clarity. How could I have missed this? How long had she been lying? And what the hell was I supposed to do now? That was the moment everything changed, the moment I realized I had no idea who she really was, or who I'd been married to all these years. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept circling around those messages. I was pissed off, crushed, and honestly just numb. I kept asking myself how Lisa could do this, especially during our anniversary trip. I mean, I've seen her be bitchy and manipulative before. She's the kind of woman who always had an excuse for everything, a lie ready on her tongue. But to cheat, that was on a whole new level. I decided I couldn't just sit there and stew in my anger. I had to get some answers, so I waited until she was in the kitchen making coffee, acting like everything was normal. I could feel my fists clenched, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed to hear her out, see what kind of lie she'd come up with this time. "Lisa," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "can we talk?" She looked up, her face a mask of innocence, or maybe just good at playing the victim. She gave me a quick smile, the kind that doesn't reach her eyes. "Sure, what's up?" I looked her straight in the eyes and I just laid it out. "I saw the messages, the ones between you and Tom." Her face froze. She blinked like she didn't understand, then quickly turned defensive. "What are you talking about? You saw my phone." "You're paranoid. You always jump to conclusions." "No," I said, voice rising slightly. I saw the messages. You're cheating on me. During our anniversary trip, how long has this been going on? Her eyes flashed with anger. Oh, come on, Dan, you're overreacting. It's just some stupid flirtation. Tom's just an old friend and I didn't think it meant anything. You're crazy if you think I'd do something like that. I was stunned. The way she lied so easily, like it was just another day talking about the weather. I knew then she thought she could just brush it off, that I'd forget or drop it, but I wasn't about to let her get away with it. I told her I didn't believe her, that I wanted the truth. Her tone turned bitchy, her voice dripping with contempt. You really think I'd cheat on you? You're insecure. Just because I looked at Tom's new golf clubs last week doesn't mean I want to sleep with him. You're always so paranoid. That was when I realized this wasn't just about a mistake or a little flirting. It was a pattern. She'd been lying for months, maybe longer. I felt a mixture of rage and sadness. How could I have been so blind? I stayed quiet for a moment, watching her spin her web of lies, trying to convince herself that she was innocent. I knew it was pointless to argue with someone like her, but I also knew I couldn't just walk away without confronting her fully. After a while, I said, I need some space. I need to think. I can't be married to someone who lies to me like this and cheats on me. She scoffed, trying to act like I was overreacting. You're making a big deal out of nothing, Dan. You're just jealous because I look good and I still got it. You're insecure and this is all in your head. That was the moment I realized I had to do something drastic. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed to know exactly how deep this went and, more importantly, what I was going to do about it. The betrayal hit me harder than I ever thought possible. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, and I knew I'd be thinking about this for a long time. I told her I was leaving for a while, not because I wanted to run from the problem, but because I needed space to figure everything out. I packed a bag, didn't say much else, and left the house. As I drove away from that place, I felt a strange mixture of emptiness and resolve. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I couldn't stay with her after what I'd seen. I had to face the reality that I'd been living with someone I didn't even know, and that hurt more than I could say. After I left the house that morning, I drove nowhere in particular, just trying to clear my head. I kept thinking about everything: her lies, her bitchy attitude, Tom's messages. It was like I'd been living in some kind of nightmare, except I was wide awake. The worst part was the doubt. Did I ever really know Lisa? Or was she just perfect at hiding her true self all these years? I kept questioning everything about us, about the marriage I thought I had. I ended up at a local bar just to get a drink and try to gather my thoughts. The bartender, a guy I knew from work, gave me a sympathetic look but didn't press me. I sat there alone, nursing a beer, feeling like I was stuck in some weird limbo. I kept checking my phone, hoping she'd call or message, but she didn't. I knew she'd try to deny everything if I confronted her again, and honestly, I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I needed some clarity. A few hours passed, and I finally decided I had to call my best friend Mike. He's known Lisa for years, and I trust him. He's the kind of guy who will tell you the truth no matter what. I told him everything from the messages to her lies, and his reaction was immediate. Damn, Dan. I knew something was off with her lately, but I didn't think she'd actually do something like this. You gotta confront her again, man. You deserve an honest answer. If she's lying about this, what else is she hiding? I agreed with him, but also felt a deep sense of dread. I knew I needed to go back home, face her, and get an answer once and for all. I felt like I was walking into a war zone, knowing I might come out broken either way. I also realized I had to be prepared for any outcome, whether she admitted everything or she denied and played the victim. I was prepared for her to spin it, to cry, to lie some more. But I also knew I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with any of it. When I finally made the decision, I went back to the house. It was late evening and the place looked eerily quiet. I hesitated at the door, my stomach twisting in knots. I took a deep breath and went inside. Everything was as it had been that morning: the same furniture, the same photos on the wall, but nothing felt the same. I could feel Lisa's presence, even if she was just in the next room pretending to be innocent. I found her sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. Her face looked calm, maybe even smug. I knew she was trying to act like she wasn't hiding anything. I looked her straight in the eyes and finally said it. Lisa, I know everything. I saw the messages. I know you've been cheating on me with Tom, so just tell me, how long has this been going on? She looked up at me, her lips curling into a sneer. Oh, Dan, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not what it looks like. You're overthinking, as usual. Tom's just a friend and I was just talking. We never actually did anything. You're paranoid. You always jump to conclusions. Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I could see the false innocence in her eyes, the way she played the victim so effortlessly. It made me feel sick. I clenched my fists, trying to hold back my anger. Don't lie to me, Lisa. I saw the messages. I know exactly what you're doing. How long have you been sneaking around? How long have you been lying? She scoffed, raising her voice. You don't understand, Dan. You're just jealous because I'm still attractive and guys still want me. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just bored. I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. I shook my head, feeling like I'd been sucker punched. The woman I married had been lying to my face all this time, and now she was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt what I saw. I realized I had to be stronger than her manipulations. I told her I was done, that I wasn't going to stay and be played for a fool anymore. Her face twisted in anger and contempt. Fine. If you want to ruin everything, go ahead. But you're the one who's insecure. You're the one who can't handle the fact that I still got it. Honestly, Dan, you're pathetic if you think I'd cheat on you. You're just too damn jealous. That's when I finally saw her for what she really was, a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could twist everything to her advantage. I felt a deep sense of betrayal, but also relief that I finally knew the truth. I told her I was leaving again, not to punish her, but because I couldn't stay and pretend everything was okay. I packed my stuff, and as I walked out for the last time that night, I felt a strange mixture of sadness and anger. I hadn't lost everything yet, but I knew I was on the edge of losing myself in the process. The next few days were the worst of my life. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, trying to process everything I'd learned. My mind kept replaying her lies, her sneers, the way she dismissed everything I said. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how someone I trusted could have been so good at hiding her betrayal. It was like waking up from a nightmare, but the nightmare was real, and I couldn't wake up from it. I stayed away from the house mostly, sleeping at a friend's place or just crashing on my brother's couch. Every time I thought about going back, I'd get this sick feeling in my stomach. I'd look at her number on my phone and wonder if she was lying to me again, if she was just trying to spin some new story to save herself. Honestly, part of me wanted to cut all ties right then and there, to erase her from my life completely. But another part, something weaker, still hoped she'd somehow tell me the truth, own up to her mistakes. Meanwhile, Lisa kept texting me, trying to play innocent, acting like I was overreacting. She'd send messages saying she loved me, claiming she didn't mean to hurt me, that Tom was just a bad influence, and that she was so sorry. I'd read her texts and just shake my head. I wasn't buying any of it. That woman would lie through her teeth if it meant saving her own ass. Her texts just made me angrier, like she was trying to manipulate me into forgiving her. One afternoon, I finally decided I'd had enough. I needed to confront her face to face, not through texts or phone calls, so I went back to the house. I figured if I was going to be done, I had to do it in person. When I pulled up, I saw her sitting on the porch, smoking a cigarette as if she hadn't a care in the world. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, like she was amused by how much she was getting away with. I stepped out of my car, keeping my distance. Lisa, I said coldly, we need to talk. I'm done with the lies. I want the truth, no more bullshit. How long has this been going on? Be honest with me this time. Her eyes flicked up and she took a long drag on her cigarette. You really want to know? Fine, she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. It's been about 6 months, maybe longer. I didn't mean for it to get this serious, but Tom's just so exciting. And honestly, Dan, you're so boring. You're always working or watching sports, never paying attention to me. I felt a cold wave wash over me. 6 months. That meant she'd been sneaking around during our supposed happy times, when we were supposed to be celebrating our life together. I couldn't believe I'd been blind all this time. She was lying again, trying to make it sound like she was some victim. I clenched my jaw, feeling the rage boiling up. I trusted you, I said, voice trembling. I thought we had something real. Turns out you were just using me, weren't you? She shrugged, her eyes cold. Maybe. Or maybe I just got tired of pretending everything was perfect. You're not exactly the most exciting guy anymore. I needed something to spice up my life. That just pushed me over the edge. I told her I was done, that I never wanted to see her again. I was sick of her bullshit, her lies, her manipulations. As I turned to walk away, she called after me, that bitchy tone in her voice. You'll regret this, Dan. You're too insecure. You'll never find someone like me again. And Tom, he's better in bed anyway. Hearing that made me want to scream, but I just walked away feeling hollow. I knew I had to get out for good this time. I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. I realized she'd been cheating on me for months, betraying everything we'd built together. The trust was gone, shattered into 1,000 pieces. And honestly, I felt like I'd lost part of myself too. How do you come back from that? How do you ever trust again after something like this? That night, I stayed at a motel, trying to sleep but failing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her lies, Tom's messages. I knew I'd have to face the facts, that my marriage was over, that I'd been blindsided by the woman I thought I knew. It's hard to explain, but the pain is like a bruise that keeps aching, long after the blow lands. And now I was just waiting to figure out what's next, whether I'll be able to pick up the pieces or if I'll be better off walking away for good. The days that followed were a blur, and I'll admit, I felt like I was just existing rather than truly living. The betrayal cut so deep, I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. I kept replaying everything, trying to understand how someone I loved and trusted could do this to me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking about her, about Tom, about the life I thought we had. It was like a punch in the stomach every time I remembered that she was capable of lying so effortlessly, just to get her way. I knew I needed to get some clarity, so I finally decided to talk to a divorce lawyer. I wanted to know what my rights were, how to handle the house, the finances, everything. The lawyer told me I had a solid case, especially with those explicit messages and her admitted affair. But what surprised me most was how cold I felt during that conversation. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just numb. I realized that for me, part of the grieving process was accepting that the woman I married was no longer the woman I thought I knew. Meanwhile, Lisa kept trying to contact me, sending frantic texts and calls, pleading with me to forgive her, to give her another chance. She threw every excuse in the book, her bitchy attitude making it clear she thought I was just overreacting or being jealous. She called me insecure, said I didn't appreciate her, insisted she'd never do it again if I just came back. I read her messages and felt nothing but disdain. The woman who once made me feel loved and secure was now just a stranger, a liar, a manipulator. I couldn't believe I'd wasted so much time and energy on her. One day, I decided to go back to the house to pick up some of my belongings. I didn't want to stay there longer than I had to, but I knew I needed to see it for myself one last time. Walking through our place felt surreal, like I was visiting someone else's life. Every corner reminded me of the good times, but now all I could see were the lies and betrayal. I found her sitting in the living room, sipping wine, acting like she was unaffected. She looked up when I entered, that same bitchy smirk on her face. "So, you're finally here," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "What do you want?" I looked at her, for a moment unsure of what to say. Then I just told her I was there to take some clothes and a few personal things. She tried to argue, saying I was overreacting, that she still loved me, that it was all just a mistake, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I was done playing her games, that I didn't want to hear any more lies. As I packed my bag, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sadness. I'd lost someone I thought was my partner, the woman I'd planned my future with, but I also knew that staying would only mean more pain and lies. I had to walk away for my own sanity. I left the house feeling like I'd been through a war, wounded but alive. That night I finally sat down alone and reflected on everything. The betrayal had shattered my trust, yes, but it also taught me something about myself. I realized I was stronger than I thought, even if I didn't feel like it in that moment. I knew I'd get through this, even if the road ahead was dark and uncertain. I had to rebuild my life from the ashes of this betrayal. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like. One thing I do know, I will never again ignore the signs or let someone lie to me so easily. Trust is fragile, and now I understand how easily it can be broken. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into sorting out everything: the divorce, the emotional aftermath, trying to piece my life back together. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Every day felt like a punch to the gut, but I kept reminding myself that I deserved better than the lies and betrayal I'd just gone through. I disconnected from most of my friends, not because I didn't want to talk, but because I didn't want to burden anyone with my mess. All I could do was focus on healing and moving forward. Looking back, I realized the biggest lesson I learned from this nightmare isn't just about trust, it's about paying attention to the little things. The signs I ignored, the excuses I bought into, the times I brushed off her bitchy attitude or her dismissiveness. Ignorance might have been bliss for a while, but it was also a trap. If I'd paid more attention, maybe I could have avoided this disaster. But then again, some things can't be fixed once trust is broken. I also learned that sometimes you have to let go of the idea of things being perfect. No relationship is without flaws, but betrayal is something else entirely. It's a deal breaker. I'm not perfect myself, but I believe in honesty and respect. Without those, what's the point? I've become more aware of my own worth, and I refuse to settle for someone who manipulates or lies just to satisfy her own desires. Now, I'm slowly rebuilding my life. I've started dating again, cautiously. I know I need to take my time, trust again, but I also know I won't make the same mistakes. I've learned to listen to my gut, to recognize the warning signs, and most of all, to respect myself enough to walk away before things get worse. If there's one thing I want to say to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, it's this: trust is everything. If you notice the red flags, don't ignore them, no matter how much you love someone. Don't convince yourself it's all in your head or that it's just a phase. Because, in the end, your happiness and your self-respect are what matter most. And if someone betrays that trust, you owe it to yourself to walk away, no matter how painful it is. I can't say I've completely healed. There are still days when I feel the sting when I think about her and what could have been. But I've come to accept that some chapters are better closed. And I've realized that, even after the worst betrayal, life goes on. You just have to be willing to pick up the pieces and find a way to move forward.